You need a car, or you think you do. In Canada in 2026, those two things are not always the same. The average new vehicle price in Canada has crossed $66,000. The average used vehicle sits at just over $36,000. These are not luxury numbers. These are the numbers for ordinary cars bought by ordinary Canadians every single week. And yet the conversation most people have before walking into a dealership lasts about 20 minutes. They know the color they want. They have a monthly payment in mind. They have done almost no math beyond that. This video is the preparation most Canadians never get. Not because the information is hidden, because nobody thinks to look until they're already sitting at the desk. So let's start before the desk. Let's start before the lot. Let's start with the question nobody asks out loud. Can you actually afford this? The sticker price is not what you pay. That is the first thing to understand. In Ontario, you add HST at 13%. In British Columbia, PST at 12% on private sales. In Alberta, 5% GST, which is why Alberta has the lowest effective car purchase cost in the country. On a $40,000 vehicle in Ontario, that's $5,200 in tax before you've touched anything else. Then there's freight and PDI, pre-delivery inspection, typically $1,800 to $2,500. This is not optional, it is not negotiable, it is printed on the invoice and it will be on yours. Dealer admin fees, documentation fees, tire levies, AC levies. In Ontario, the AC levy alone is $100. None of these are large individually. Together, they add $500 to $1,500 to every transaction. Then insurance. The average Canadian pays $1,700 a year in auto insurance. In Ontario, that averages $1,920. In British Columbia, ICBC rates have been climbing. In Alberta, rising faster than anywhere else in the country. Then licensing and registration. Then maintenance. Then fuel or charging costs, depending on what you bought. The total first-year cost of owning a new $40,000 vehicle in Canada, once you add taxes, fees, insurance, fuel, and basic maintenance, sits between $12,000 and $16,000. That is not the payment. That is not the loan. That is just the cost of having the car. Most people have never seen that number before they sign. The research phase. You spend 2 weeks on AutoTrader. You have 17 browser tabs open. You have a spreadsheet that started organized and is now mostly aspirational. You've narrowed it down to 3 vehicles. One is slightly out of budget. You keep looking at it anyway. Here is what the research phase should actually produce before you step foot on a lot. First, your total budget, not monthly payment, total. Take your down payment, add the maximum loan you can responsibly carry, and that is your ceiling. Work backwards from there. The rule most financial advisors use, your total vehicle costs, payment, insurance, fuel, maintenance, should not exceed 15% of your take-home pay. In Canada's major cities in 2026, most car owners are well above that. Second, new versus used. A new car loses roughly 15 to 20% of its value in the first year. On a $45,000 vehicle, that's $6,000 to $9,000 of depreciation absorbed by whoever bought it new. If you buy a 2-year-old version of the same vehicle, someone else paid for that depreciation. You did not. Third, financing rate. The manufacturer's advertised rate and the rate you qualify for are often very different things. Check your credit score before you walk in. Know your number. The difference between a 5% and an 8% rate on a $35,000 loan over 5 years is more than $2,700 in additional interest. You walk into the dealership knowing all 3 of these things. Most people walk in knowing none of them. The dealership. The lot is larger than you expected. The cars sit in neat rows under bright lights, even though it's 11 in the morning. Someone approaches you within 90 seconds. This is not coincidence. This is process. They are friendly, genuinely skillfully friendly. They ask, "What brings you in today?" You tell them you're just looking. They hear something different. They hear, "I am close to buying and I need a reason to commit." They show you the one that's slightly out of budget. It's clean, it smells new, the seats are better than you expected. They don't talk price, they talk payment. What are you comfortable with monthly? This is the pivot everything else hinges on, because once you anchor to a monthly payment, the total price becomes invisible. A $600 a month payment sounds manageable. Spread over 8 years, which is now a common loan term in Canada, that's $57,600 before interest on a car that will be worth $18,000 when you finish paying for it. The average Canadian auto loan term has stretched to over 6.5 years. The average amount financed is over $40,000. And roughly 1 in 3 Canadian car owners is currently underwater on their vehicle, meaning they owe more than it's worth. You don't know any of this yet. You're sitting in the driver's seat adjusting the mirrors. They ask if you want to take it for a drive. You already know the answer. The drive is good. Of course it is. Everything about this environment has been designed to make you feel like the decision is already made and you're just confirming it. You come back to the lot. They say, let's go inside and look at some numbers. You follow them in. The finance office. The finance office is a different room with a different person and a different energy. The sales floor is excitement. The finance office is paperwork, and paperwork moves fast. They have a worksheet in front of them. It has a lot of numbers on it. They walk you through it quickly. Vehicle price, freight, PDI, admin fee, tax, trade-in value if applicable, down payment, amount financed, term, rate, monthly payment. They pause on the monthly payment. It looks reasonable. Everything before it happened too fast to fully process. Then the add-ons begin. Extended warranty, paint protection, fabric protection, rust module, tire and wheel protection, gap insurance, which covers the difference if your car is written off and you owe more than it's worth. Each one presented as protection. Each one presented as something the last person wished they had. Each one rolled into the monthly payment so it feels like it costs almost nothing. A $2,500 extended warranty rolled into a 6-year loan at 7% costs you over $3,100 by the time you finish paying for it, for a product you may never use. The average Canadian finance office adds $1,800 to $3,500 in products to each transaction. Most buyers say yes to at least 2 of them. You are in this room for 40 minutes, and when you walk out, you are not entirely sure what you agreed to. That feeling is not an accident. What you should have done. Here is what the people who come ahead actually do. They get pre-approved financing before they arrive from their bank or credit union with a rate in hand. This removes the dealership's most powerful lever, controlling your financing. They negotiate the out-the-door price, not the monthly payment, the total number including all fees and taxes before financing is applied. They say no to everything in the finance office by default. Extended warranties can be purchased later, often cheaper, through the manufacturer directly or third-party providers. Paint and fabric protection costs $50 at Canadian Tire. Gap insurance is often available through your own insurer for less. They know their trade-in value before they arrive. Car Gurus, Auto Trader, and the Canadian Black Book give you a real number. A dealership that lowballs your trade-in is not losing money, it is making it on the spread. And they walk away at least once, not as a tactic, as a genuine reset. Because the decision you make after sleeping on it is almost always different from the one you make in the room. The car will still be there tomorrow, and if it isn't, there is another one exactly like it within 50 kilometers. New versus used versus lease. New means full warranty, full depreciation hit, highest price. Best if you keep vehicles for 10+ years and want 0 surprises. Used means someone else absorbed the depreciation. Best value at 2 to 4 years old with full service history. Certified pre-owned programs from manufacturers add warranty coverage back in. Leasing means you pay for the depreciation during your term and hand it back. Lower monthly payments, no equity built, mileage restrictions, and fees if you exit early. Best if you want a new car every 3 years and drive predictably. In Canada in 2026, leasing a vehicle means the GST or HST applies only to your monthly payments, not the full purchase price. In provinces like Ontario, this can save you thousands compared to buying. There is no universally correct answer. There is only the answer that fits your actual life, how long you keep vehicles, how much you drive, how much capital you have, and what your relationship with a car payment looks like over time. What is almost never correct is the decision made purely on monthly payment without understanding what sits behind it. The close. You will buy a car. Most Canadians will buy several over their lifetime. Over a 40-year driving life, the difference between making informed decisions and uninformed ones on vehicle purchases is conservatively $80,000 to $120,000. That is not a small number. That is a retirement account. That is a down payment on a property. That is 20 years of maxed-out TFSA contributions. The dealership is not your enemy. The salesperson is doing their job, and most of them do it without malice. But the system is designed to move you forward.